Okay, this is summary review number 5, and these are just some parabolas with some shifts. We have the shape equation, which is basically a good way to go at it. In other words, if you have this equation here, this is just a negative x squared, but it's shifted up 3. So I can put it up 3, and then from that point, it doesn't have a horizontal shift, but just a vertical shift. And then I can always check this when x is 0. It's going to be 3, so I can look at that. I put that point in there. And then from the shape equation of this minus x squared is going to be negative. It's shaped like an n because it's negative, so it's shaped down. And then when x is plus or minus 1, I go down 1. So from here, from this point here, which is the vertex because of the shift here, I go over 1, down 1, or back 1, down 1. And then plus or minus 2, I go over 2, I go down 4. And then you would just connect that with your pencil, and then you've got yourself a nice parabola. Remember, make this kind of like a bowl, and connect that like that. It's just a sketch. It doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe like the sketch, you just put the points down for you, and you can do the sketch. That's all right. Main idea is you get a few points, and you get a pretty good sketch. All right. Letter B, the shape equation. This again is x squared. So now this is shaped like a U because it's positive. It's going to be shaped up. It's pointing in it's open in the positive direction is another way to look at it. But it's going to have just a vertical shift of -2. And again, I use the regular shape equation, except this is kind of just going to be positive. So if I go plus or minus 1, I go up 1. And if I go plus or minus 2, I go up 4. All right, and that's easy. Then we just connect those, and you should be pretty good shape. Like that. Okay. Alrighty. And the next one. Now I started with something like this, but I kind of rewrote this. So I have the negative 2x squared plus 7. And now I do have a shift, and I have a shape equation that's a little skinnier because I got a -2. So this is my shape equation, and I've shifted up 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that goes there. Now my shape equation, since there's a -2, it's going to be negative. It's going to be facing down or open in the negative direction, right? And it's going to be a little skinnier. So I can put some values in here. So when x is plus or minus 1, 1 squared is 1, so it's going to be -2. So I go down 2. And then when x is plus or minus 2, 2 squared is 4. -2 times 4 is -8, so I'll go down 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. And you see, it's shaped down, and then you should have a good intuitive idea of these now at this stage of the game. It's a little bowl there, and then bring it down, and there you go. So there's your parabola. Okay, something like that. Okay, and then number 2, we have now this is a little different because I've got a linear term in here, so it's just not a shift. But what I did was I just factored out the x, and I just set this equal to 0, and I can find my zeros. My zeros are when x is 0 or when x is 2, so I can put my zeros in. So that's what I did. I just put those zeros in, and then right in the middle was 1, so I tried to find out what y was when x is 1, and I came up with 1. I just put that in here. 1 times 2 minus 1 is 1. And now you can see basically you have a parabola. Now it's the squared term is what we look at, and that's negative, so it's going to be open down again. And then I could just realize it's the same thing as my negative x squared. So it's going to be the same shape equation this, so I go over 1 down 1, over 2 down 4. So you see it works out real easy. Even though it looks a little bit odd, once you find those zeros, you know, the axis of symmetry, it goes right down the middle of the parabola. Unless we have rotations, which we don't, we just have translations, so we're in good shape. And that's what you have. Okay, the next one, this was my shape equation. It's just shifted up 4. There's no vertical shift, so it's just shifted straight up 4. So now the shape equation is going to be this, negative 4x squared. So when x is 0, y is 0, that's my 0 point. And then if I go plus or minus 1, 1 squared is 1, and that's going to be -4 times 1 is -4, so I go either plus or minus 1, so I go like this. So it'll be kind of a skinnier one. And then if I go 2, it's going to be 416. I won't have room on my graph for that, so I just have to kind of go with these points here and realize it's a parabola, upside down parabola, or open in the negative direction because it's got a negative sign in front of it. Looks something like this. And this last one over here, x times, I kind of factored it out. Now this wasn't the way it looked in the problem, but I factored out the x just to save myself some space. And then I factored this as a squared minus b squared, you know, the difference of perfect squares, sum and difference of square roots. And then I have my 3 zeros, so my zeros are going to be x is 0, x would be negative 2, and x would be 2. So those are the zeros. Now, if we look at these and we multiply these out, this is going to behave like negative x to the third. So I know it's going to start like this, and it's going to go like this. Remember, x to the third goes like this, but this is negative, so it kind of flips. So this is my shape, my kind of general shape, and this gives me my end behavior. So I'm going to start upper left and end lower right, based upon this model, y equals negative x cubed. So I just wanted to see how far I went down and up. So all I do is try some checkpoints in between. So in between negative 2 and 0 was negative 1. So if I put negative 1 in, I got negative 3. So these are some checkpoints here. And then I put 1 in, I got 3. So now I get a pretty good idea of what this cubic's going to look like. So it's going to go like this. It'll go up like this. And then you could kind of follow the direction of the curve, and you can kind of guess it's going to come something like this and something like this. You could try some more checkpoints if you wanted, but it looks something like that. Okay? So I hope that kind of makes sense. Don't want to draw these too dark in case I make a mistake. Okay, so I hope that kind of helps.